Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're looking at something pretty special. We're unpacking one of the most famous stories in human history, Aesop's classic fable, The Fox and the Grapes. Now, on the surface, this might just seem like a super simple tale about a hungry animal. But as we're going to see today, it's actually a fascinating, brilliantly accurate look into animal and, honestly, more importantly, human nature. We're going to break down the mechanics of desire, failure, and the clever little lies we tell ourselves just to protect our pride. So get ready, because you might just recognize a little bit of yourself in our furry protagonist today.
Okay, let's dive into this and set the scene. I want you to picture a bright, scorching hot summer afternoon. You're in a peaceful, lush green forest. The birds are cheerfully chirping above, there's a gentle, warm wind kind of rustling through the trees, and literally, the only other sound is the quiet crunching of footsteps on dry leaves. Trotting slowly through this whole serene environment is a reddish-orange fox. But, well, this fox isn't just out for a casual stroll. The heat of the day is really taking its toll. The fox is deeply tired, incredibly thirsty, and walking along with its tongue completely hanging out, desperately searching for any scrap of food or a drop of water. The physical stakes for our main character are incredibly high right from the get-go.
And then, suddenly, a mirage-like vision appears. As the hungry fox clears the trees, it discovers this beautiful, sprawling vineyard. And hanging way high up on the vines are these massive, heavy bunches of ripe, vibrant purple grapes. I mean, they are absolutely shining in the summer sunlight. After wandering through that hot, dry forest, you can only imagine how fresh, sweet, and just unbelievably deliciously tempting these juicy grapes look to our exhausted, thirsty fox. It's basically the exact perfect prize at the exact perfect moment.
The reaction is instant. The fox looks up at the prize and declares, "Wow, those grapes look amazing! I must eat them." There is zero hesitation here. This quote perfectly captures that intense, immediate desire that just totally takes over. The fox's entire world shrinks down to one single goal: getting those shiny purple grapes. This really sets the stakes for the rest of our story. The fox has identified what it wants, it's declared its absolute need for it, and now it has to take action. So, what happens next? The fox gathers whatever energy it has left, takes a running start, and leaps as high as it possibly can toward the vines. But it completely misses, falls totally short, and the only reward for that massive burst of energy is the quiet, super disappointing sound of its paws landing right back down on the dry leaves. The grapes just remain hanging high up above, completely untouched. This is our first major point of tension, right? The desire is incredibly strong, but the actual physical reality of the situation is proving to be a massive obstacle. Let's move to this timeline and see how this builds, because the story definitely doesn't end with just one failed jump. As the minutes tick by, that initial ambition turns into this frantic desperation. The fox tries leaping from every possible angle, every direction, using literally every ounce of strength it possesses. It's a grueling, really frustrating struggle, but the grapes are simply too high. Eventually, heavy panting sets in, leading to a total depletion of energy and just complete exhaustion. The physical toll of chasing this impossible goal has completely caught up with our hungry fox. Even in the face of all that exhaustion, there's this incredible moment of desperate determination. Breathing incredibly heavily, muscles aching, the fox tells itself, just one more try. It's that feeling we all know so well, isn't it? That stubborn refusal to accept defeat, kind of hoping that just one extra push will somehow magically change the laws of physics. But despite that final, really valiant effort, the result is exactly the same. The fox finally succumbs to its complete exhaustion, and a wave of deep, crushing disappointment sets in. The goal is officially unreachable.
Now, this brings us to the absolute climax of the story. And it's not a physical action, actually. It's a psychological pivot. The fox looks up at those beautiful, juicy grapes one final time. But instead of hanging its head in defeat or crying over its empty stomach, the fox does something totally unexpected. It turns away proudly. It lifts its head, shifts its posture, and walks off pretending that it doesn't care at all. Faced with absolute failure, the fox makes a really crucial choice. It chooses its pride over admitting defeat. And here is the legendary rationalization that follows. As it walks away, the fox announces, "Those grapes are probably sour anyway. I don't want them." Just think about how dramatic this shift is. I mean, a few minutes ago, these were the most amazing, fresh, sweet-looking grapes in the world, and the fox absolutely had to have them. Now, suddenly, they're sour, undesirable, and completely unwanted.
The fox fundamentally devalues the exact thing it desperately wanted, all because it couldn't figure out a way to reach it.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is, why did the fox pretend not to care? Why bother making up a story about the grapes being sour? Take a second to really think about that. The fox is still alone in the forest. There are absolutely no other animals around watching it fail. And yet, it still felt the overwhelming need to create this excuse. This breaks down a major psychological barrier and sets up the true core lesson of this entire explainer. The lie wasn't for anyone else's benefit. It was entirely for the fox itself.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact human behavior this ancient story was designed to highlight. Sometimes we pretend we don't want something simply because we cannot get it. This isn't just about a hungry animal in a forest anymore. It is completely about us. It's about how we handle our own failures and insecurities. When we try out for a job and don't get it, or we try to learn a new skill and fail, how often do we suddenly decide that the job was actually terrible or the skill was totally useless anyway? We reframe our failures to protect our own egos, exactly like the fox pretending the grapes were sour.
So, the crucial point is, the ultimate moral of the story is simple but profound. It is easy to despise what you cannot have. Or, in other words, people often dislike what they cannot obtain. It is a brilliant, timeless observation about the length we'll go to in order to avoid feeling the sting of falling short. We would much rather convince ourselves that the prize was worthless than admit we just weren't capable of reaching it. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative question to think about. What are the sour grapes in your own life right now? And are you walking away from something just because the jump feels a little too high? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this fascinating fable, and I'll catch you in the next one.